Morning all. Alright, so technically this is my third video today, but this is the first one that I'm putting out live today on the channel. We're going to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights, which is interesting because I just did a video on the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm back in here because the room that I've been using is actually a high traffic area, and if I want to get the videos pre-recorded that I need to before we leave on Sunday morning, I'm going to have to just work in the cold in here. It's chilly. Alright, that being said, let's discuss the Vegas Golden Knights. Since I did a video on January the 9th, I talked about how great this team was and how, I extolled their virtues, and they've tanked since then. They're 3-8-3. Whoops. Honestly, this is something that people talk about with my videos, like, oh, it's just jinxed them. If I had that kind of power, I would wield it very differently than I do. Every day there'd be a video up there of, I don't know why Vancouver, Boston, and Dallas can't win a game, and all three of them would win the Stanley Cup. Anyways, 2.5 goals scored per game since that video went up on Vegas. 3.07 goals against per game. So they're not getting blown out. They're just not winning the games that they were winning earlier in the season. Goals scored and everything, but the special teams, their power play's been excellent when they get the opportunities. 38.7% on the power play. Their penalty kill at 75%. You're going to want to bring the penalty kill up from 75%, but 38.7% on the power play is pretty darn good. Now, Hurdle has been fantastic throughout this. 14 games, 9 goals, 6 assists, 15 points. It's not the first time he's been a really good player on a team that's losing games. He had that with San Jose as well. Dorofeev has continued what's been an amazing run for him. 14 games, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. And Jack Eichel, point per game. Do you want a little more from him? Maybe. 13 games, 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points. He's been good, though. Mark Stone, you might want a little bit more in terms of goals. 14 games, 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. Stone hasn't been as prominent in Vegas games as usual, but I'm used to him being just a guy who's stealing the puck all the time and doing it without taking penalties, which is ridiculous. And then you got Shea Theodore's been very good. 14 games, 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points for him as well. But then next on the list is Olofsson, and it shows this dramatic drop-off between the top 5 and everybody else. Olofsson, 14 games, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. So you want more from the support players than what you're getting. They're just not getting anything. And for an example, they've got 2 defensemen that aren't producing, starting with Pietrangelo, who's going to, of course, this big tournament. I don't know if you've heard of it. They're only showing the Four Nations commercial every 5 seconds during every NHL broadcast. To me, it feels like they're concerned about people watching it. It's weird. Like, you don't see commercials every 10 seconds for the Super Bowl, do you? It's kind of weird. Please watch. So, Pietrangelo, 4 assists in 14 games, a -9 over that time period. So, Pietrangelo's definitely had his struggles. Barbashev, just 3 assists in 13 games. So, one thing I've noticed with Vegas players is that they get there and they seem to produce better than they do elsewhere. And a question I've always had in the back of my mind is, so how long does that last? Is that going to change? And is that what we're starting to see with the Vegas Golden Knights? Pearson, just 1 goal in 13 games since the video I did. Howden, just 1 goal in 13 games since that video that I did. And Noah Hannafin, no points in 14 games and a eye-popping -12. Man, all these minus discussions. Anyways, -12 for Hannafin over 14 games. So there have been some struggles. It's not really the top guys. The top guys are fine, but you need to be able to get more production from the guys down the lineup. Because if they're allowing 3.07 goals against per game, I mean, scoring's come down in the NHL, so that's too high for goals against. But this is a team that should be able to score 4 per game. At least they've been able to do that. Now, the goaltending has not been fantastic. And I know before the season started, the tandem of Hill and Samsonov was one that I looked at and I thought, is it? Like, I know before the season started, I thought maybe they were a playoff team, maybe not. And then they had that fantastic run. That's the video I did. And since then, now they're starting to look like, are they a playoff team? Maybe not. Part of it could be that they don't have a great road record. They also don't have a great record against teams from the Eastern Conference, which doesn't really matter when you get to playoff time unless you're in the Stanley Cup final. And then you can kind of throw out regular season numbers in the Stanley Cup final anyways. So Adin Hill, 2-4-2, again, since that video went live, 885 save percentage. He's giving them a quality start 1 out of every 3 starts, meaning save percentage of 900 or better. So Adin Hill is not giving them the kind of goaltending they need. Neither is Samsonov. 1-4-1 record, 865 save percentage. I hear Caps and Leafs fans right now saying, well, we know, but 25% of his starts have been of the quality variety over this 14-game run. They just aren't getting the goaltending. So you're not getting the depth scoring. You've got a couple of defensemen here who are clearly struggling, or when they're on the ice, the matchups just aren't working and the other teams are scoring. It's one or the other. And yeah, it's just there's so many layers to what's gone wrong with the Vegas Golden Knights. And I've resisted doing a video because I keep thinking they're going to turn it around. I don't want to do a video on Vegas and turn it around. So if they turn it around after this video goes up, it's really on the people that wanted a video on Vegas to point out how struggling they are. Their current cap space is not there, $446,429. And I hear the comment section now saying, well, they'll just put somebody on LTIR. But who? Because the thing is, you don't want to put any of these top 5 guys on LTIR because they're the ones that are producing. And if you take somebody out of the lineup who's producing and you add somebody else via trade, so let's just go down that skullduggery road, that Stone goes back on LTIR, he lacerated his spleen again. Let's just say that you go down that road. Well, now you got to replace Stone, and you've already got a team that's not producing. This is not like other seasons where they're going along pretty well, and then they have cap space somehow, and they go out and they add players. I expect them to be pretty busy at the deadline. I expect them to really try to fix this before the deadline. There's no way Kelly McCrimmon's looking at this team right now and saying, we're fine, we're going to leave it this way. There's just no chance. Vegas is always proactive. The thing is, they don't have a lot of pending UFAs. They don't have a lot of... And I say this, and yet, yes, when they added Hurdle, it was like, well, now they're going to have to sacrifice somebody. And that ended up being Marchessault, because they weren't going to stay under the cap if they kept Marchessault. And I think if they'd kept Marchessault, and if they had not kept Hurdle, I don't think they're in a better position than what they are right now. So their pending UFA list, the recently signed Brandon Saad, it's just a 1-year contract for him. Olofsson, it's a 1-year contract for him. And he got off to that good start, but I didn't expect that to continue. Olofsson was a very streaky scorer in Buffalo. And so when he got off to that good start in Vegas, I thought, I don't know that he can keep this up for a long period. Pearson is on an expiring contract, and most interestingly, both Adin Hill and Ilya Samsonov are on expiring contracts as well. So there's the possibility that Kelly McCrimmon looks at this team and says, I don't think the goaltending is good enough, and tries to fix that. Would he even consider moving Adin Hill? Adin Hill got them to that Stanley Cup in 2023, but Marc-Andre Fleury got them to a Stanley Cup final his first year. They had no problem with jettisoning him when they felt like it served their purpose of getting a different guy in as the starter and giving Fleury a chance to be a starter somewhere else. So I don't think they're going to be shy come trade deadline about fixing the goaltending if it's decided that's where things need to improve. But it's not going to fix the depth scoring issue. It's not going to fix that there's some defensemen that have been having some struggles as well. So their upcoming schedule, and I'll get into this in a minute, but their upcoming schedule is as follows. They're in New Jersey on Thursday, so tomorrow night they're in New Jersey. They're in Boston on Saturday. Saturday's a very busy game in the NHL, but I'll be keeping a close eye on that one because Boston kind of floundering just below the playoff line, but winning just enough games that they're staying in that hunt. And then after the Four Nations break, to round out the month of February, they start off playing at home against Vancouver on Saturday the 22nd. I think Vancouver's starting to play better. And when I say that, people go, that's the Canuck fan showing. I think they're playing better. And then on Monday, they go to LA to play against the LA Kings. That's Monday the 24th of February. The LA Kings are excellent at home, and they will have no problem with facing a Vegas team that's been struggling if they're still struggling at that point. Then they come home, and on Thursday, the 27th of February, they round out the February part of the schedule against Chicago. Now, getting to the LTIR argument, if they were going to go that route, you could put William Karlsson on LTIR. Karlsson has not been very productive. He's played 7 games over this run, no points in those 7 games. He has a $5.9 million cap hit. So that would definitely allow them to have more cap space to make at least one addition. Cole Schwindt is also on IR, $800,000 contract. One thing to keep in mind too, though, is that if William Karlsson was placed on LTIR and if they use that money to add, when Karlsson's good to go, you can't put him back in the lineup until playoff time. And playoff time is going to be very, very interesting. because they're currently 2 points behind the Oilers. They're second place in the Pacific, but the Oilers have played one less game. So the Oilers have a game in hand. And then there's the LA Kings, who look like they're miles behind. But they've got this game against LA here. They're 8 points ahead of the Kings. But let's just say LA wins that game in regulation and everything else stays the same. So they're within 6 points of Vegas. They also have 4 games in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas has played a lot of hockey. Maybe that's part of what it is. I know that their struggles against the East are part of the reason for that 3-8-3 record over their last 14, but they just haven't looked like themselves. So I think there's a legit question about where Vegas is at. I don't see them as a top contender right now. And so that's the question I have for you. Now, there will be people in the comments saying that's it. You just reversed the jinx. Why would you do this? But I did want to talk about Vegas today. That their struggles, I think, are depth scoring. Maybe they need a bit of a shake-up on the blue line. And I don't know if they have a goaltender that's playing well enough right now that you can look at and say, clearly, the starter for this team come playoff time. So, I mean, it would be Adin Hill, but Adin Hill's play lately hasn't been fantastic. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.